I want to offer as a kavanah that as we come to this learning and practice tonight, that we do it as if for the first time. Each time we come to prayer or learning or meditation, we can approach it with this, with the openness of learning something that we don't expect, and coming to the practice once again as if for the first time, which is really, in my view, the right way to do it, because what does it mean to come to something for the first time? It means that our consciousness is not encumbered or hindered in any way by preconception. And in fact, that's part of the essence of what meditation is. It's about being able to see our inner world. That includes preconceptions, it includes feelings, emotions, whatever thoughts are arising, the whole inner world of experience that we have, to be able to see it and to know ourselves as the awareness behind it, rather than thinking that we are it, rather than thinking we are only this person with these memories and these experiences. We're also the consciousness that's behind all of that. So it's not to say that we're not the person. We are the person too, but we're more than that. We are this transcendent field of awareness, and each time we come and practice together, we are remembering ourselves as that. So we're coming to look at the letter SAMEKH. So the way that's numbered, by the way, why is it path 25? This has to do with seeing the 10 sphirot as the first 10 paths, and then the 22 Hebrew letters starting with number 11. So SAMEKH has to do with the practice of remembering and knowing that there's a support there for us in our work, that we're not just a fragment in the universe doing something arbitrary because we felt like it, but rather it's our very essence, the very truth of our being on the deepest level is to engage in this work to increase our consciousness and to participate in our own evolution, and hopefully in the evolution of this planet, since we need it so badly. So let's say a little bracha for Torah. If you want to say it with me, great. Or just simply an amen at the end. Let me make sure that you can unmute. Okay, there, you're able to unmute now. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So we're beginning this week the last book of the Torah, coming with the final stretch in the readings. The book of Devarim begins with Moses speaking words. Words is the word Devarim means words. It can also mean things. So Sefer Devarim means the book of words. So Moses is beginning to speak these words. He's giving a speech on the bank of the Jordan, telling them a story about their journeys. And he begins by recounting the highest moment in the story, when they stood at Mount Sinai and they heard God speak to them. But rather than recount the 10 Commandments or the many other pieces of Torah, the many other mitzvot that are in those passages back in the book of Shemot, Moses only says one thing about the story. What does he say? Adonai Eloheinu diber Eilenu. This name of God, which is the Yod He Vav He, I translate as existence because it comes from the verb to be. Eloheinu, our God, literally, but we can also understand as our own divinity, that our own essence as not separate from the divine. So existence, our own divinity, spoke to us at Horeb, saying, Rav lachem, it's too much already for you, Shevet Bahar Hazeh, to still be dwelling by this mountain. In other words, you can't just stay in the high places. This moment, which is in our collective narrative, the spiritual narrative, is the high point. This revelation at Sinai, and yet what is recalled about it? What's recalled about it is, hey, you can't stay there. You have to move on. Usa'u lachem, travel for yourselves, uva'u har ha'emori, and come to the mountain of the Amorites. Now this word for the Amorites, ha'emori, has as its core the three letters Aleph, Mem, Resh, which means speak. In other words, if we have an experience, some kind of spiritual experience, in which we feel some connection to the divine or the sacred or the holy, or however you describe it to yourself, it doesn't really matter. But the point is that whatever that experience is, you can't stay in that same experience. You have to move on to a new connection with the divine. So we move on to a new mountain. That's the Amorites, is the new saying. You hear the divine again and again and anew. And this is expressed in the teachings associated with the letter Mem. Mem is water, and water has to do with being washed clean from the past and coming to this moment anew. So this, again, is an aspect of being present. It's an aspect of meditation, is hearing what God is saying right now, so to speak, as opposed to referencing in our mind only a memory from the past. We don't have to get rid of the memories, but the essential thing is coming to the new mountain. But then it says, Ve'el kol shechenav ba'arava, and all who dwell in the arava, which are the plains. Vahar, which literally means the mountain. Here it's translated as the hill country. Uvashfela, the lowlands. Uvanegev, the desert. Uvechof hayam, and the seacoast. So what is all this? The point is not only the next mountain experience that we come to, there's also the arava, the plain, meaning the ordinary daily work of life, which is an erev. That word arava has as its root erev, which means mixture. It's a mixture of many different kinds of experiences, the day-to-day stuff. This is expressed in the teachings of the letter Kuf. Kuf, which is the word for kedusha, which is holiness, but particularly finding holiness in the ordinary moments of life, coming to all of the different types of what we would normally think of as mundane, even insignificant experiences, and bringing consciousness to those as well. Then there is the shefela, which means lowland. These could be times of sadness, of loss, of failure, things not working, all part of God's speech. So this is the letter Nun, which in my understanding, the letter Nun is associated with this month of Av that we recently came into a few days ago. And Nun has to do with the impermanence of all forms. It's really the bitter medicine for the ego. It's the unpleasant experience of things falling apart, of losing things, which is inevitable because all forms are impermanent. And our experience of that, though painful, it can be used in a positive way, in the sense of helping us to refocus on the eternal or the divine that's behind all the forms, that gives rise, from which everything comes and to which everything returns. That's the letter Nun. Then there's the Negev, the desert. Times when life and work don't seem to be yielding anything good, but we must persevere through these stretches. I live in kind of a Negev here in Tucson, in the desert, but it's a very lively Negev, actually. It's not like Death Valley. But still, If I want anything to grow in the backyard, I definitely have to water it. So this has to do with the letter Zion, because Zion represents focus, remembering to stay focused and not be distracted by things. And also the sphere of Netzach, which is persistence. And both of these together are training us to stay focused and committed to our goals. So these are all the different letters and teachings associated with these different places that we go to in life. We need to be armed with all of these different letters. So then there is the Chof Hayam, the sea coast. Like, for example, when the children of Israel stood at the Sea of Reeds with the Egyptian army behind them. These are times when the outcome is unknown. Now, the truth is the outcome is always unknown, but we don't always feel that way. There are certain times when it feels very, very uncertain, and other times where we assume things are going to go a certain way. But that experience of the unknown, when we're tempted to fear and despair, this is when we need the letter Kaf, which represents courage, courageousness, being able to transcend our fears, and also Yud, which is trust, so that we can take that leap into the unknown without that inner burden of resistance. Finally, it says you will come all the way ad hanahar hagadol, to the great river, which in the literal sense is talking about the river Euphrates. But the great river in the metaphorical sense is that at the end of the journey, we see that life is the great river. We've been on the great river all along. The great river is not something that we come to, but rather what we come to is the recognition that everything is part of the great river. So in a sense, there's a linear, and then in a sense, there's not a linear, because we are always on that great river. But through practice, we can recognize more and more that we're never separate from that. In other words, the divine incarnates in the form of your mind and your body to take a little journey on the great river. And this moment is the arena within which we are learning to journey through all of the paths. And this brings us to the letter SAMEKH, because as we make all these journeys through all of life experiences and engage in this work of bringing greater consciousness to everything, then it's very helpful to remember that that we're supported in our essence in this work, because we are essentially not separate from reality itself. We're part of reality. We're part of the divine. And the divine is seeking to become more conscious through us and through our lives. That's the one thing that we can always engage in. It's unconditional in a sense. We don't need any special tools for it. We don't need things to go a certain way, but we can use whatever is available to us in the moment to become more conscious, meaning more present, meaning knowing ourselves as the awareness behind the experience, and accessing the freedom that's available to us in that. So this chant for the letter SAMEKH says, SAMEKH lechol hanoflim, the divine supports all who have fallen, that's from Psalm 145, and Rokah haaretz al hamayim, spreading out the earth upon the waters. That's from the morning blessings. Both of these lines or phrases are pointing us to something that we can really rely on. All of the forms, all the experiences, everything is constantly changing, but the work and our support in bringing our consciousness to this reality, to our lives, is something that's actually very solid and we can rely on. SAMEKH SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. Haaretz al hamayim. Haaretz al hamayim. Nine, nine, nine. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. Haaretz al hamayim. Haaretz al hamayim. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. SAMEKH lechol hanoflim. And as we prepare to come into silent meditation, just checking your body to be in a comfortable position, a position that is conducive to being as still as you can, not to be neurotic about it, but just doing your best to be in a comfortable but alert position that you can be still, your hands unencumbered. If you haven't, you might want to turn the do not disturb things on so the devices don't beep at you. And bringing forth the kavanah from within of offering your awareness to the fullness of this moment just as it appears right now. Really, it's offering your awareness to the divine as the divine is speaking right now in the form of this moment on all levels, in the sensory level of the body and the breathing, the feeling level of mood and emotion, whatever thoughts are arising and dissipating, being the offering of awareness from your heart, bringing your right hand to your heart and offering your attention from the heart without expectation of getting something out of it, but giving from the heart, just like you would give your attention to someone that you cared about who wanted to tell you something important. And offering with lecha on a long out breath. Deep breath in. Lecha. And with your right hand still on your heart, bringing left hand to your belly, bringing your attention down into your body. Awareness feeling down into your organs, awareness permeating your cells, flowing down from your belly, down through your legs to your feet and toes, and rising up into your chest, upper back, shoulders and neck, flowing down through your arms to hands and fingers, filling your torso and limbs with consciousness, feeling the flow of your breathing, resting awareness on that flow, consciously noticing and letting go of thoughts as they arise, not trying to stop them, but just letting them dissipate as they will, not becoming involved. Awareness rising into your face, facial muscles, bringing a little smile to your lips to be the benevolent, conscious presence in the body, filling your skull, brain, nervous system, so that you fill your whole body with presence, with consciousness. And we anchor this with Na'aseh. Deep breath in. And with left hand still on your belly, bringing your right hand to lightly touch your forehead, shifting your attention beyond the body. Awareness still in the body, but also radiating out into the room. Knowing that your awareness of the space around you, all the objects, beings, the sounds, the light, everything around you is all living inside this field of consciousness. And you are this field within but beyond body, thought, and feeling. You are this vastness. Vinishma. Deep breath in. Vinishma. Kissing your fingers, relaxing your hands. Atyahu. You who are reality itself, you who are not separate from anything, not separate from this consciousness that we are hearing these words right now. You are the divine Atyahu. So bringing attention to the words as we chant together. Atyahu, Atyahu. Continuing the chant just on the mental level, anchoring your mind in the tefillah Atyahu, remembering to notice as thoughts come, letting them come but letting them go, and we'll come into silence for about 10 minutes. Closing the meditation, once again, bringing your right hand to your heart and offering your attention with Lecha, deep breath in. Lecha. And bringing left hand to your belly, awareness flowing down, filling your body with consciousness, feeling the flow of your breathing, letting go of the stream of thinking, consciousness meeting body with Na'aseh, deep breath in. Na'aseh. And bringing right hand to lightly touch your forehead, awareness extending infinitely beyond the body, vast, boundless, silent field of consciousness that you are in essence. V'nishma, deep breath in. V'nishma. And kissing your fingers, relaxing your hands as we come back into our evenings. May we be imbued with the knowledge and the memory that the support in our spiritual work is constantly there for us. All we need to do is remember it and to tap into it in order to use what is available to us in the moment, from the lowlands to the mountains, to the seacoast, to the deserts, all of them opportunities to feed and grow in consciousness. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yako Yisrael v'yako yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Amen. And I know we're going a little bit over time. I'm going to offer that we do a healing prayer now. If you have to go, thank you for coming on. And if you're staying on for a few more minutes, you're welcome to type in the names of the folks for whom you'd like to make a healing prayer. And as we see the names come in on the chat, we hold them all in our hearts and prayers. El Narafan Allah. Shetishlah meher refuah shalema Refuat nefesh, refuat guf lechol hacholim. May there be a complete healing of body, mind, and spirit to all of those that we hold in our hearts and prayers, and all who are in need. And we say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen. And let's also do a mourner's Kaddish. So if you are mourning the loss of a loved one who left their bodies in the last 11 months, or observing a yahrzeit, an anniversary of a death, you're welcome to say mourner's Kaddish with me on mute, unless someone else would like to lead the mourner's Kaddish. If you would like to lead it, please just unmute yourself and let us know right now, and that's fine. And either way, everyone else, please stay on mute in general, but then briefly unmute yourselves for the responses, the amens and brichu and yehi shmei rabbah. It'll take me just a moment to stand up here. Okay, here we go. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Amen.
V'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. V'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'zman karib v'yamru amen.
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 Yehi shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam amaya.
Le'olam ulamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei kudsha brichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran bi'alma v'yamru amen.
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 Hey Shlama Rabba Min Shamaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'yamru Amen.
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 Ose Shalom B'mrama Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel V'yamru Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in tonight. I wish everybody a blessed and healthy and restful evening. I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes and just see if anybody has any questions or anything, because I know some people may be on here for the first time. So if you are leaving, Laila Tov, have a wonderful evening. And if you want to stay on a little bit more, then we'll do maybe 5 or 10 minutes or so. So I'm just going to put the computer back.
How often do you do these?
Oh, so the community-wide meditation that we do with the 8 partner communities is on second Mondays of the month. So that's ongoing. But there's also the Torah of Awakening community, which is online, and we learn and practice just about every day. So it's Sunday through Thursday is the basic level, and then there's some more advanced things that happen also on Fridays and Wednesday nights. And so it's pretty much every day except Shabbat and holidays. So anybody who's interested in checking that out, I will send you a little follow-up email to tonight, and there'll be a link in there. So you're welcome to check it out. It's a membership-based community, which is starts at $36 a month on the basic level, but you can try it free. So so that's available to you. You can also check it out for yourself at TorahofAwakening.com. So anybody else, if you have a question or a comment or anything, you're welcome to click on the reactions button on the bottom, and then you can raise your hand. There's a little hand raising icon there. Okay, Michael.
Hey, Brian, I've got a quick question.
Yeah,
So I believe I've signed up for the webinar on Thursday, July 22nd. Was there another webinar happening this Thursday? The no,
no,
the
that's
15th.
you got the right one. So there's only one. It's there is going to be a webinar. Anyone can sign up for it. Thursday, July 22nd. And if you haven't seen the registration for that, I'll also put that in the email. And the webinar is about the different modalities of practice. So I call the name of the webinar is the 7 Keys to Mastering Presence, and it has to do with some of the different modalities that we did tonight are part of that, such as chanting and body movement and visualization, silent meditation, and then there's some other ones too, and they're all related to what I call the 32 paths, which are the 22 Hebrew letters and the 10 Sefirot. So everyone's welcome to come to that as well. That'll be it'll be 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, July 22nd. So, and I'll send again, you can also find the sign up for that at torahofawakening.com, and I'll send it in an email to folks as well.
Thank you.
Mike, it's good to see you. Okay, anybody else?
Hi, shalom. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, is that Alan?
Yes, yes. I haven't said hello in a while.
Good to see you, Alan.
I had just recently, I'm going, in a few days, I'm going to be 60 years old. And I still can't believe it myself, 60.
Yeah.
Is there some Kabbalistic significance to the number 60 that I should know from Hasidus or something?
Yeah, well, all the numbers are very special. 60, well, 60 does it. I don't know 60 offhand. Maybe someone here does. If anyone has any 60 ideas, please chime in. My wife is actually much better at the numbers thing. She,
Oh, that's good.
and you know, Rabbi Avi is too. But I'll say something on the number 6. Of course, the number 6 is the letter Vav, and it's also the sphere of Tiferet. And the way I see the letter Vav is that it's the prefix which means and. And so, as in terms of how do we practice Vav, it's the practice of saying yes and to whatever happens to arise in the experience. Now, normally what we do is we tend to side with some experiences and against other experiences. So something happens in our field of awareness that we don't like, and so we resist it. Something happens we do like, and we embrace it. And the practice of Vav is, first of all, that's fine. There are things, of course, that we don't like, but on a deeper level, we can first of all say yes to the fact that it exists, that it's there, so that we don't send ourselves into exile, in a sense, into one corner of our experience, but we can maintain our inner wholeness, our inner peace, our inner balance, which is also Tiferet, is that sense of radiant balance by saying yes and to what is. So as you enter your 60th year, may it be that this quality of Vav, which can be so challenging and yet is also very, very simple, blossom more and more for you, and that you have a stronger rootedness in this sense of inner balance and peace.
Ken Yehi Ratzon.
Any Ratzon.
I like that. That's a good word, a good little bit of Torah. I've also been doing my Jewish genealogy lately, as I guess part of coming up to my 60th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason is there is an advantage these days. I'm Polish Jewish, and if you do your genealogy, you can also submit an application to the Polish government and get a Polish passport. Why is that good? Because I have a lot of European friends, and I can't visit them. Like I couldn't visit them this last year because of all these restrictions and going back and forth. But if you happen to be a European citizen, which technically I am, I just never requested it,
Yeah.
But by ancestry, then you can go to Europe. And I realized, well, why shouldn't I ask for my Polish citizenship? Then I wouldn't have these restrictions and I'd be able to travel back and forth, you know. So I've been working with a lady on my ancestry. It's very interesting. Sometimes it's like the Dvav, like some things you don't want to know, like my grandfather's prisoner number in Auschwitz. My grandfather Judah was a prisoner in Auschwitz. He went through hell. So some things like you find out are good, some things are not so good, but it's amazing. I was just looking at the records from the displaced persons camp today for my mother's family after the war. And, you know, sometimes there's a little clue or something in that record that leads you to some other ancestor, you know, and it's interesting. Oh, that name Copernic, that name Katz, who's that? I didn't recognize it. And then you have a whole other branch of your family tree that you discover, you know.
Wow.
So it's very interesting, but there's also that dark history of the Jewish people that gets uncovered as you get this joy of discovering your family. You also find out history has its dark corners, you know. So especially Polish history. So it's been very interesting, and I never thought I would like genealogy, but I'm actually enjoying it now.
Well, thank you for telling us about that. I see people are sending chats also appreciative of this information. So thank you for that, Alan. And I just want to go on. There's a couple more people with hands up. So before we close, let's see if we can get both of you in, Leah and Joe. So how about Leah first, and then Joe?
Okay, I just wanted to say hi. It's my first time with you.
Oh, welcome.
And thank you. And I found this very, very meaningful. And I just celebrated my 80th birthday. So if you think 60 is something, try 80. And I would like to get more information. I put my email in the chat to all the things that you were talking about.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing you again. Yeah, there are a lot of things that you can check out, not just once a month. So I look forward to seeing you again soon. Okay. And Joe?
So we seem to be in a numerology time. I just turned 70.
Ah, wow. We're in the 10-year
Right.
celebrations.
So
Wow.
I'm curious as to if you have anything for like the number 7, or that may have some, you know, something for me. And I just also want to say how much I appreciate your teaching and the opportunity to meet with this group. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And on the same line of numerology that we were doing with Alan, we can say 70 is really 7 times 10.
Right.
And 7 is the letter Zion. And we mentioned Zion in the teaching today. I was talking a little bit about that. Zion can be a weapon, and but what does that mean in terms of inner work, the inner weapon? It's cutting through. It's like that sword of the guarding the pathway to the tree of life, you know, the flaming sword. And the thing about the flaming sword is that on the surface, it seems like a negative thing, like it's it's preventing us from accessing the essence, the divine, the tree of life. But it's actually also showing us where it is. This flaming turning sword. So what is the flaming turning sword? Well, one way to see it is that it is the reactivity that we experience. In other words, emotions that come up that are painful are ordinarily, they tend to distract us from being present and connecting with Hashem. That's what they tend to do. But if we can also use them to remind us to become present with them. And when we do that, then they have the exact opposite effect of calling us into deeper consciousness, that, you know, those painful feelings come up and we say, oh, okay, that's a reminder that I need to be with them. I need to be present with them. I need to cut through that tendency to go off somewhere else in my mind. So it's really about focus and very much remembering, as the letter Zion begins the word zecher or zikaron, you know, different forms of the word remembering. So it has to do with that, developing that consistency to remember in all of our different situations. Now, all of us, as we get older, of course, memory is one of the things that's most difficult. It starts to go. And so this is a very good practice for us to work on exercising our memory. And this is not a memory of factual information. It's a remembrance of what we're doing internally, moment to moment. So I want to give you the bracha that's special quality of focus and remembering be developed and strengthened in this time for you.
Thank you.
Did you do the same thing with 80 years old that you just did on the number 8?
Yes. All right, here we go. Number 8. So 8, I don't think we talked about this one tonight, but 8 is the letter Chet. And the letter Chet has to do with, it's actually the counterpoint to the Zion, because the Zion is remembering and being focused, but the Chet is acknowledging that, that it's a process, that it takes time to develop, that there are experiences we'll have where we can easily beat ourselves up or feel like we're a failure if we don't live up to the ideal of what we're attempting to practice. And so Chet is about being patient. It's about knowing that the fruit of the practice comes in time. And just as if we would be patient with a person who, for example, like a person who speaks very slowly, you know, if you're impatient, if you want them to spit the words out, well, then that's just going to cause chaos, because they can't. They have to speak slowly. So you need to have that quality of being able to relax and be with the moment as it's happening. Really, we all need all of these things. So may we be blessed with that patience and that listening, and also the Zion, and also that ability to say yes to what arises of the letter Vav. All the different ages that highlight these different numbers should be fertile grounds for developing all of these qualities. V'yamru amen.